Hi YouTube. I've decided to come forward and share some experiences that I had in the time that I was living in New York City, about 2 years or so prior to 9/11. I realized that sharing these things is not really helping us with the 9/11 situation, but what I am doing here is sharing this and hoping that others who may have had similar experiences will come forward and share, so that we might be able to create a repository for like a video channel where we can save impressions like this that people are having, so that we might get some sort of warning for possible future events if something like this is of value to anybody out there. What I'm thinking is, when you get these kinds of things, you really don't know what to do with it, and you're very hard put to think everybody's just going to think you're crazy if you start to talk to people about such things. But I'm hoping that if someone who is out there, say in the government, doing research, watching for possible things that are coming, has information that only they would know about, and some of us are putting up videos and things that are pointing in this direction, that they might be able to get some extra information from us. Something might be helpful and something useful might come of these kinds of experiences that I have and that others have. So anyway, on with this. I was living in New York City, I believe it was in 1997, 98, and I've always been a bit sensitive, and this isn't that out of the ordinary for me to have these kinds of experiences, but I'd mostly had these kind of things when I was younger, and at this time I was in the city. I started to sense just a certain kind of foreboding as I would walk around the streets. It almost felt as if occasionally when I would look down the street, as if I was seeing a green fog hovering over various parts of the city. It was not a pleasant sensation. And I would notice that I was becoming much more sensitive just walking down the streets, and it was getting hard for me to go in crowded areas. I worked in an area downtown, right on Wall Street, and each day going to a job that I occasionally had in the evenings, also in that same area, in the Tribeca area of downtown Manhattan, I would walk up Wall Street and I would cross the property of the World Trade Centers. There was a Borders Books in, I believe it was World Trade Center 5, and I would go in there and get some books or magazines and take them on to my next job. So at that time, I think some of the first things that happened is when I was walking across the World Trade Center lot, I saw superimposed, it's like seeing two things at once. I was seeing what was happening during that day, but then at the same time it was like I got glimpses of, it looked like ghosts walking around me. I didn't know what, they were like people, but they looked all white, and you know, they just had that a ghostly quality. Now, I didn't know what to make of that then. I thought that just seemed kind of funny, because I don't usually have those kinds of experiences. But I had this flash of these people walking around, and they later, when I would see the 9/11 footage, this was just like when you'd see those people who were leaving the buildings when they were covered with the ash and soot, and literally I was seeing that same kind of image, but I didn't know what to make of it then. And then on other occasions, I was walking across there and I looked at the Borders Books, and I just got this sense of I saw the building as it was with the people shopping, and then I also saw it all destroyed and burned out, and glass all shattered, just everything in ruins. And again, I mean, I didn't know what to make of that. It's not like you say, well, something's going to happen to the World Trade Center building. And my sense was something's going to happen to the city. And I took it as much bigger probably than it was, even though it was a big event for a lot of people. Also, when I was walking in around Midtown, somewhere between 34th and 57th, I got another one of those double superimposed visions of people walking around in biohazard suits. And that again is something that did happen later when we had after that, the anthrax scare, shortly after 911, I believe it was, that kind of thing was also happening. And so it was building within me this sense of an impending doom over the city, something very bad, and I kind of thought of it as the whole city, or maybe even bigger than the city. And because a lot of people at that time were really worried about Y2K, and I thought that these things that I was starting to sense were all directed around something about Y2K. So there were those premonitions and others smaller, similar to them. But the other thing that I had was a dream one night where I was having a dream. I was in some sort of apartment, and I realized I was dreaming. I became lucid, and at that point I asked my higher self, or whatever is out there that give me some kind of information, I said, well, give me a vision of some sort of meaning. And I created a window, and I opened the window and looked out for the vision, and I saw fog, and I was looking out from a vantage point in Brooklyn across to lower Manhattan, and the fog was kind of clearing. And then as the fog was clearing, I saw a siren and 911, which I took to mean emergency, putting it together with the siren, and I was hearing sirens and noises like this. And then I see over lower Manhattan in the fog, I see this image that looks like two paper cutout images of the dinosaur, the pterodactyl. And it was, and these two paper cutouts reminded me of like a Matisse cutout where we're going back and forth over lower Manhattan, where I could see the World Trade Centers, which was the main image you would see in the skyline of lower Manhattan. And these pterodactyls were going back and forth over the lower Manhattan area. And again, I took them to mean that these were planes, but it was funny later after, to me, after when 9/11 finally happened, that the kind of funny play on words that my subconscious was throwing out with that, of a pterodactyl being a terror-dactyl. And I also took all of these things as much more focused on either the whole city, and also focused, for me, I saw that as don't get in a plane. Maybe personally for me to avoid planes, because it certainly created a negative feeling for me. And shortly after that, my wife voiced some expressions to wanting to leave the city for some other reasons, and without really sharing all this information, I was just happy to go along and kind of move away from the city with my family. And so I've shared this information again in hopes that anyone else maybe who had similar experiences, first regarding 911, could possibly share that information here, could put some videos out of their own experiences. And then what I'm hoping is that we can, if anybody's having any other kinds of experiences right now, that we could share those and create a video and special a dialogue going on where we can gather these, and maybe something useful can come of them, because honestly I didn't know what to make of that when I had it. Maybe as a group we could better interpret some of these things and possibly put something out there that would be of use to people who can really make something happen. Thanks a lot, and I hope to see some responses. Bye.